Hey guys, welcome back to Chronicles of a Therapist. I'm Cassandra Shepard. Thank you guys for hanging out with me in my space. So last episode, we really talked about women and some of women's issues with dating. And so I wanted to kind of bring the men along too. I have a lot of, I don't know when it was a while ago, but there was this video and this man was saying, and it was very, very interesting because it was men and women. It was a podcast, whatever. But the man was saying something to the effect that, well, what do you bring to the table to a woman? What do you bring? And so the woman's counterpart was, well, I created the table. I fed, I prepped the food or whatever. And so it's so interesting. Like there is parts of our society that shows men who are trying to be stand-up guys, men who are raising other people's kids, men who are adopting kids and little younger cousins. And like, you know, as Father's Day passed, it made me think about how when you look at Mother's Day and when you look at Father's Day, Mother's Day is everywhere. It's all kinds of, every store you can think about is there, right? And then Father's Day come around, it's like, oh, take your dad to get fishing gear or take your dad to go get a steak, whereas Mother's Day is, and that's not saying that either is better, but I guess the reality with men and what men have seen, there's more negative about men than positive. And for me, it looks different because the level of men that I know who are fathers, and I feel like for me, because I grew up with my dad, so I have an absolute appreciation. And it's funny because I took my dad to the hospital a couple weeks ago, and I was able to spend a day with him, and all of the things that came from childhood were like, oh, I remember when we did. But what I understand my appreciation for fathers is because my dad was there. Like I grew up with a man who raised other children as his own. My dad, like I told y'all, he has three biological daughters. One of my older sister is passed when I was 12, but he has a lot of nephews, and so when you grow up with a father who is present, who does his best, who works hard, the reason why me and my little sister work how we work is because of my dad. Like when you grow up with a dad who works third shift at the steel mill and then will pick you up from school in a taxi, just because I got all these kids, I want to make sure I will sacrifice my sleep to make sure my kids have what they need, And so I say that like the society that we're in now doesn't show that part. And that's even, you see that with Mother's Day and Father's Day. Like you see that because so many women and so many families have been broken because they feel like men are not present. Well, one, either and I've met a lot of guys who didn't have a relationship with their father, so they winging it. Dad wasn't there for whatever. They grew up in a single, or dad was deceased. They are literally winging it. They have no blueprint. So the men who are just figuring it out, sometimes they do have coaches and uncles, and sometimes people in the barbershop, sometimes they got community people, but the men who don't, maybe they do turn out more toxic. Maybe because unless you look inward and say, and I talked about last episode, how when men have a daughter, it changes something in them. That only happens if I feel like men want to be a father anyway. So then there's, I didn't want that responsibility. I was just trying to get what I needed and out of there, So a lot of men, unfortunately, because of the way social media is portraying women, where men just need to pay for all this. Well, yeah. I told a friend that I was talking to, I said, well, yeah, you have to change your level of men because the men that you are dating are not the same men that you want. You want a man that's an entrepreneur and got money, but he need to be a little hood too. That's cool. There are men like that. But you also, those men are put in certain places that you don't even walk past. So you're going to continue to attract the people who are not like you. And when women and men talk about the back and forth, let's talk about that. Like if you plant yourself in certain situations, even as a man, you're going to attract this certain woman. If you're planting yourself, I'm going to go to the club, I'm going to buy this VIP, and you're looking a certain way, guess what woman is going to come to you? You flashing money. So she think you got money, you can spend it. So for men, You have to understand it takes more when you want, and that's anything in life. Anything that has quality, it's gonna be some blood, sweat, and tears to get it. It's not gonna be a quick fix. And if so, it might not be foundationally sound to keep pursuing it. So as a man, yeah, I want the trophy wife. I want her to look good. I want her to have her body done. She need to do, but has that woman spent so much time on the outside that when you come home from a rough day and you need a listening ear, she don't know how to do that because she's invested more on the outside. So for men, like you want a woman to look a certain way, and I will put a pin in it. I believe that women in our society believe that men want women to look a certain way. Now, granted, everybody likes somebody who look good, right? Who look good. They might be real muscular. I've met more men, and I've said this before. When I start wearing my hair curly, men were like, "Oh my God, like I can touch your hair? I can put my, that's your, yeah, it's my hair." And for women, we assume men like all these lashes and all this false this and makeup. Men don't even like that. So even if you look at it that way, anybody, we want physically attractive things, but a man who was looking for greatness and to have a foundation and to have a family, they're not just looking on the outside, because you can buy the outside. I can completely buy. I can make, and I can redo my entire body, but that doesn't mean my insides are healthy at all. So I think it's important. Like, men have to also tap into what is it that you want in a woman. And what if maybe you were raised by your mom, and your mom, like I've talked about this, my mom and her sons, their relationship, who raised them and who raised me is different. So they saw a mom just doing whatever and maybe not being kind, not listening, not caring about her kids, not pouring into their kid, And so if you grow up with that lack, like if you grow up in a household where everybody was just working, didn't nobody talk, wasn't no communication, you never saw your mom have any kind of emotions or feelings, then guess what you're gonna want as an adult? That's the kind of woman you're gonna want. You're gonna want somebody surface because that's all you saw. And so now maybe you don't want surface no more. You gotta go inward, man. You gotta decide how do I look at women? Oh, are they a toy? Are they something to fulfill my physical needs and then that's it? You got to look at the trauma that you've experienced in your upbringing. And so while there are women who are toxic, there are men who are toxic, I would never say that one is better than the other. But the reality is you have to look at where you came from. If you come from a place where you saw unhealthy and you didn't decide or have the motivation to be different, that's just like, yeah, you can grow up in the hood, in poverty, but you can still decide, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to be a marine biologist in Florida somewhere. But it's possible. It's about your motivation, and that's anybody, man or woman. When you're deciding the partner you're looking for, like when you're ready to shift, and I think that hopefully all of the stuff that we're seeing on social media about why women is bad and why they want this, and we need to be able to look inwardly and say, okay, at 35 plus, I would hope that you're not still just trying to have women just for trophies or something to do, because what happens when you're sick? You a bachelor and you sick. You got COVID, you ain't got no, and every woman is like, well, I need some money. I'm sick. What are you? And vice versa. Like we have to decide what it looks like as we get older. What is it that men and women want? Do you just want people for physical needs? For he can pay my bill and he can or she can, she gonna look good. I'm gonna go to the club and she gonna look good and she look good in this dress. Okay, she look good in that dress, but you sick and she can't make you no soup. Now what? You still you sick, can't get what you need because the woman next to you doesn't even know how to care for you when you sick. Don't even know how to pour into you when you're having a bad day. So for men, you need to decide what is it that you really want. And I think that with any of us, that's a hard pill to swallow to say, well, maybe I'm the reason. Yeah, yes, have nice thing, be wealthy. But if that's all you show a woman, that's it. So if she calls you, I have a bad day. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm about to go play basketball with my boys. So she wants to be vulnerable with you. And as a man, you dismiss her. That's all you're gonna get from her, and vice versa. So I think for when it comes to men, and they talk so badly about how men only want this and want. A lot of times, and I've talked about this before, a lot of men don't even know how to tap into that. A lot of men have learned, I'm just supposed to make money and make sure everybody all right. They might not be able to tap into their emotions, but I would tell any man, if you have a woman in your life, if you have a sister in your life, if you have women who are close to you, who be safe and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to and you might need to start with therapy and learn how to communicate. You might need to start with, I got this going on. I got this going on. One of my brothers, I have two older brothers. My oldest brother is so kind, so sensitive. Like he sensitive in that. Now let me fix it. My brother not soft, okay, but sensitive to his sisters in that he'll randomly text me, "Baby sis, I love you." Random. That's him reading my energy, and like clockwork. Every time he does it, I'm like, "Oh, I feel love today," because my brother just randomly. And my other brother is very, very determined like I am, but he lacks the ability to even sometimes connect with his daughters and his wife and his sons because he's so tunnel vision and so focused on, I got to get to that, and I believe that is a great, and don't hear me say that it's not good. A man who is determined, a man who loves his family, will work hard, will work multiple jobs. There is nothing wrong with that. But you have to still connect. And so men don't know how to do that. And so sometimes therapy is a great way to start, because guess what? Therapy is objective. She going to run your insurance, or you're going to pay herself, he or she self-pay. You're going to talk, it's going to be confidential. You can go in there and cry. You can talk about how this happened, that happened. And as you do that, you'll start to see, man, I need to really work on why I get agitated so easily. Oh, well, maybe I'm agitated because I don't like when people misunderstand me, and I like to be heard. Guess what? You can work on that outside of the therapy room, but sometimes men don't have safe spaces, and I've talked about this before, to even dive into what's really going on with me. I've had men in my life tell me the reason why they quit working is because they were so overwhelmed with the pressure of whatever this job, whether it's a high-paying CEO or you working at a factory and you working 8, 9, 10 days in a row, and that stuff is important. And if men don't have places to vent, and in a perfect world, it would be your woman. In a perfect world, it would be your woman. You would, babe, guess what happened? And sometimes there are men who have that, but there also are men who have women in their life who don't have that capacity. So you saw her because she looked good, but she don't even know how to care for you when you are at your lowest, when you have been let go from your job and you don't know what the heck. That is a part of being an adult. Something happened, somebody hit you on the freeway, and now you need $1,500 to get your car fixed. Don't nobody plan for that. That would be overwhelming for a man or anybody. So I say to you, man, if you don't have, and I've also learned, before I go there, I've also learned that men don't necessarily talk about their stuff with their friends. They might have one. They might have one that they really, 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 they've known for a while. They've been through some stuff. They'll surfacely talk about stuff just to get it off their chest, but they won't dive into it because he don't want to seem weak. He don't want to be vulnerable. And so with that being said, man, find you a good therapist. And I always say this because I've had so many people tell me, I can't find a therapist. Sometimes you might need to date, not in real life date, but you might need to find one that works for you and be open about it. Like, yeah, I don't like your style. When I have people come in and talk to me, I'll be like, listen, I'm going to call you on your shit. I'm going to hold you accountable. I can be real blunt. I know how to dial it down, but I might dive into you because you didn't do your homework and you working, but you might need to say to your therapist, I'm having a rough day. I just lost my grandmother. You know what? You definitely need a different kind of therapy session. So I say that to say, don't allow having 1 or 2 or 3 bad experiences. Oh, I had a therapist 7 years ago. Okay, well, the field has changed in 7 years. Maybe you need to have a therapist who looked like you. Maybe you need a therapist who doesn't quite fit the mold. Like, we are out here. There are so many different type of therapists. If you have insurance, I'm going to just educate y'all real quick. If you have insurance, go to your portal. You can find a mental health therapist in your network. The bad thing, though, is It's not that easy, but if you want something good enough, if you're trying to play the lottery, you're going to keep playing it till you win. Same idea. Even if you don't have insurance, if you're self-pay, do some research. Look at therapists in your area. You might find somebody, and most times we have an outline of who we are. You might be like, that's interesting. I like that. I might try this person. So I'm going to say that to y'all. That goes for anybody that's seeking therapy. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, but you always can start somewhere, because sometimes even if you start at some place, they might know somebody and refer them to you because they've met with you and said, you know what, I know a good therapist who will work for you. You got to start somewhere. So thanks for listening, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. You can find me on Instagram at @CNShep_Chronicles. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.